Coming up, flying the HondaJet, it's a real kick in the rear.
Small planes make a big difference in the aftermath of West Virginia flooding.
He's missing an arm and a leg, but that doesn't stop him from his aviation dreams.
And medical certificate reform, it's here, baby. AOPA Live this week begins in just a moment.
Brightline, instruments for professionals.
It's so close we can taste it. Hello everyone and welcome to AOPA Live this week. I'm Melissa Rudinger.
And I'm Warren Morningstar. Tom Haynes is off this week. We really are on the home stretch for third-class medical reform. Late Wednesday, the leaders of the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee and the Senate Commerce Committee released a statement saying they had come to a bipartisan, bicameral agreement on an FAA extension through September of next year. And the important point for GA pilots is that the agreement includes third-class medical reform. Once the rules are in place, most private pilots will be able to fly without recurring visits to an aviation medical examiner. And if you have obtained a medical certificate within the 10 years preceding the passage of this bill, you won't need to see an AME at all. Earlier today, I talked to AOPA President Mark Baker about this momentous news.
This effort has been something called Herculean, long in the making and hard, but and while it's not perfect, it's a really good outcomes, and I'm very excited about all the AOPA members and all the aviators in this country.
So why is this such a big deal for AOPA and for GA everywhere?
Well, as you know, this issue has been going on for over 20 years. The idea that we have medically fit pilots that make a decision every day whether they should fly or not fly with their families or people. And this third-class medical is so outdated, it needed reform. And we had tried a number of ways through rulemaking, through asking the FAA to get something done, and it just came down to legislatively, the only way to get this done was to become an act of Congress. And I'm really proud of our efforts to get this done to lower the cost of aviation for people that are, whether they're in a special issuance or whatever form it is, that's frankly a waste of money. And save money in aviation and have a better outcome and invite more people to stay in aviation for a longer period of time.
You must be pretty proud because you came on board this organization and said, this is going to be my number one priority. We're going to get this done.
I have to tell you, I've had a good week. This is, you never know until it's over, but it's really over now. And when I came on board, it'll be 3 years ago this August, and I listened to members on the road and town halls, and really followed through. And what was the research saying was the number one issue. And we put a lot of effort in this thing. Some of it was hitting brick walls, and there's several times of discouragement where we didn't know if we could possibly get there, and really frustrating. But by perseverance and patience and having the right people and doing the right things, we got to a really healthy place. If you remember, the original petition was 180 horsepower, one passenger, better than nothing. A driver's license equivalent, however, might have been this is a little bit more difficult than that. But on the other hand, you have, 250 knots, up to 18,000 feet, up to 5 passengers, IFR, VFR. So we're in a better place for most people. I know there'll be some people that this doesn't work for, and I apologize for that. But I believe it was truly a great outcome. Anytime you're trying to create a law, there is compromise. But it's something I'm very proud of that we were able to accomplish. Unfortunately, it took 36 months from the time I got here, but it's really a great day.
Great. Now, both the full House and Senate have to pass the bill and send it to President Obama. Everyone expects that will happen before July 15th. But then something else has to happen, and that really falls into your wheelhouse, Melissa, right?
Yes, it does. So we are almost over the finish line, but once this passes, the FAA has a year to get this through the regulatory process. Now, we've primed the pump with the FAA for the past couple of years, and we're hoping to expedite it. But there is a notice and comment, and it'll go through the regulatory process, and it has to happen within a year. Otherwise, if the FAA doesn't get it done within a year, the FAA cannot enforce the third-class medical requirement as it relates to this law.
So that really is sort of a big hammer to make sure that the FAA does it, since we have had times when the FAA hasn't done what Congress has said.
We have, but as I say, we've been working this pretty hard on both sides of the House, or I'm sorry, at Congress and on the agency side, and I think we've got our ducks in a row.
Okay, any sense that the agency is going to resist this?
I don't get that sense at all. The agency's been pretty supportive of making sure that we are doing the things behind the scenes to make sure that we're ready in the eventuality, or because of the eventuality of this legislation passing.
Yeah, it's just wonderful news.
Great news.
Turning now to presidential politics, the circus that is the 2016 presidential election season might have you seeing red or blue. But before you take off for a flight to forget about politics, you need to check the NOTAMs. The major party conventions come with TFRs. The Republican National Convention brings restrictions in Cleveland that last from July 17th through the 23rd. And the Democratic National Convention in Philadelphia has restrictions that go from July 25th through the 29th. We should note that some of these TFRs can be even more complex than a typical presidential TFR. We'll have more on the details before each event. And no matter who you support, we hope you'll check the NOTAMs box before you fly.
It's been a couple of weeks since severe storms and flooding ripped through rural West Virginia. The floods killed more than 24 people and destroyed many homes. AOPA Online managing editor Alyssa Miller is a native of West Virginia and reports on the recovery efforts and how GA is helping.
3 towns in Greenbrier County in the southeastern part of West Virginia were hit by what officials have called a 1,000-year flood.
I was stranded down at the Rupert Public Library. We were stranded there overnight. The water was 4 feet deep. We could not get out. We could not get home to any of our families.
Now the communities are transitioning from crisis search mode into the recovery phase, and generous donations of supplies are rolling in.
We are in desperate need of assistance.
And general aviation pilots were right there to help bring in the most needed cleaning supplies. Gabriel Glinsky organized a group of pilots from his local EAA chapter in North Carolina to fly in supplies.
When we got up here and we saw that each of us bringing our load, that, you know, you think, what can a small little plane do? And then you see this trailer just full of stuff because we all brought a little bit out with us. And it's just amazing. 3 airplanes
flew in from North Carolina and 2 came in from Maryland July 2nd. Together, they provided about 2,000 pounds of supplies.
To see what good can happen when we do, and we actually use this kind of powerful tool that we have at our disposal, which is to get into an airplane and get somewhere pretty quick.
Tom Goodwin and his son Thomas flew up together in a VTOL Bonanza with about 775 pounds of supplies.
We were able to fly quite a bit up here and basically just share time with my son at the same time.
The supplies are greatly appreciated. And you might be surprised by some of the different kinds of items that are needed.
People lost everything they own. You don't think of the little things. My wife was telling about a lady that she needed cream for her denture so she could hold her teeth in so she could eat. But there's just the little items that everyone needs.
It is a widespread disaster area, and again, we're in it for the long haul, and any partnerships that we can form will be for the best.
Alyssa Miller, AOPA Live.
Thanks, Alyssa. There is still a major need for supplies and volunteers. Find out how you can help at volunteerwv.org.
What a wonderful story, and it really is a great illustration of how important GA airports and GA airplanes are in an emergency.
It's nice to see folks in action.
It really is. Well, coming up after the break, it may be late to the party, but it's sure to be a star. The boss flies the HondaJet.
And an inspiring story of a wounded veteran who doesn't let anything get in the way of his flying dreams.
Purchasing your own aircraft is an exciting experience. AOPA Finance simplifies the process, saving you money with lower interest rates and hassle-free loans, so you get into your new aircraft sooner. AOPA Finance, the right approach to buying an aircraft.
Welcome back. You're watching AOPA Live this week.
You know, it's been a long time coming, but for many, it's been well worth the wait. The HondaJet is at the top of its class, and Tom Haynes, who has been reporting on this innovative aircraft for over a decade, now gets a chance to fly it.
airspeed's alive.
Pushing those throttles to the stops has been on my bucket list for a long time.
D1, rotate. Contact departure, 6-4 golf. Good day.
I've been covering the HondaJet since designer Mishimasa Fujino first shared his vision with me back in 2005. Now I get to fly it. It's been a long ride, but it's a sweet one. Fujino's dream was speed, space, and efficiency.
This is an airplane which uses many advanced technology, like a new configuration over the wing engine mount configuration, or natural laminar flow, composite fuselage.
The HondaJet is the fastest in its class, 20 knots faster than the Cessna Citation M2. It bests the Embraer Phenom 100 by more than 30 knots. The wing-mounted engine pylons mean less drag, more space in the cabin. Laminar airflow over the nose, cabin, and wings also contribute to greater efficiency. And the result is the HondaJet burns less fuel per hour than most of its competitors. Up front, the Garmin G3000 automates most functions to make life much easier for the single pilot. Advance the throttles on the runway, and the strobe lights and pitot heat turn on automatically, for example. And Honda is not just building a new jet. They've also built a new training system. They partnered with Flight Safety International to re-engineer training from the ground up.
And the idea is to put the customers in the cockpit day one. So they show up and they have a mission. And actually day one's mission is from Greensboro to Charlotte.
Students start in the operational day flow classroom and learn to master the system controls in avionics. By the time they step into the Level D full motion simulator, the systems are second nature. And the sim does a remarkable job of replicating the airplane, including the kick in the rear when you advance the throttles. The HondaJet is a remarkable performer, but it is a bit late to the party. Both Cessna and Embraer are well established in this market niche, and if you want one of their jets, you can get it right now. Order a HondaJet and you'll most likely wait for a few years, but for some, the wait will be worth it. Tom Haynes, AOPA Live.
And you can read much more about Tom's experience in the HondaJet in the upcoming August issue of AOPA Pilot Magazine.
Appario announced this week that the Stratus ESG transponder is now certified. The transponder is panel mounted and provides ADS-B out and WAAS GPS in one box. There is also a new kit option, the ESGi. The kit includes a non-certified ADS-B in receiver that provides ADS-B and AHRS on an iPad that's running ForeFlight. The ESG costs just under $3,000 and the ESGi is $500 extra. And a transponder-based ADS-B out solution will be attractive to many owners of older aircraft because of the relatively simple installation. But no matter what solution you pick, you need to hop on it now. The experts are saying that there isn't enough capacity in avionics shops to get everybody installed by the 2020 deadline. But even if you aren't quite ready to decide on equipment, our ADS-B expert, Mike Collins, reports you can reserve a future installation slot at some avionics shops. You can read more on AOPA.org.
And we're sad to report that we've lost two aviation notables. Enterprise rental car founder Jack Taylor passed away at age 94. He was a naval aviator during World War II, decorated twice with the Distinguished Flying Cross. He later named his company after the aircraft carrier he flew from, and he was a real friend of AOPA. And we also remember another American hero. Roscoe C. Brown, Jr. was a Tuskegee airman and a civil rights activist. Brown is credited as being the first U.S. pilot to shoot down a German jet aircraft. His experience is highlighted in the 2012 movie Red Tails. Brown was awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross. The mayor of New York City has ordered all flags to fly at half staff for 5 days in his honor. Roscoe Brown was also 94 years old.
And now a story about another veteran of our armed services. Getting your instrument rating is an accomplishment for any pilot, but especially for wounded veteran Adam Kislewski. AOPA's Dave Hirschman has the story of Adam's incredible aviation accomplishments.
You may remember Adam Kislewski, a wounded warrior who became a sport pilot 4 years ago with help from Able Flight and AOPA. The former Marine Sergeant had been gravely injured by a bomb blast while serving in Iraq in 2005.
I was fortunate to leave with my life, but lost my right leg and my left arm.
But Adam's amputations haven't stopped him from continuing to fly. Later, he became a private pilot, and more recently, he added an instrument rating.
Now I actually enjoy, going up and punching holes through the clouds. The precision is a whole lot of fun when you're coming down to a low approach and you don't know if you're going to be able to make the airport out or not. Suddenly it appears and everything's right where it's supposed to be, right as the plane's screaming minimums. It's a lot of fun.
Adam flew an unmodified Diamond DA-40 for his private and instrument ratings, but he did make some changes to his prosthetic leg.
What I did was actually custom fabricate a foot that would work so I could hit the rudder and ensure not to hit the toe brake until I wanted to. The arm is certainly the bigger challenge. So having a plane with a good autopilot, having the ability to fly the plane with a center stick configuration also helps a lot.
Now that he's got an IFR ticket, Adam plans to volunteer as a pilot for the Veterans Airlift Command, one of the organizations that helped him during his recovery.
Veterans Airlift Command is a network of private pilots who ferry wounded warriors to the hospital or back home or down to their units, wherever it is that they need to go.
Adam also intends to keep flying with his 6-year-old son and pursue additional ratings.
I'd like to go after some of the more fun stuff, so getting an amphibious rating or a multi-engine would also be something I'd be interested in.
Dave Hirschman, AOPA Live.
Thanks, Dave. In addition to being an instrument-rated pilot, Adam is also an open water diver, enjoys riding his motorcycle, and is planning on going to law school.
Yeah, congratulations, Adam. That's really impressive. And finally, you may have seen this photo making the rounds on Twitter and other media. Santiago Borja snapped it from the cockpit of his airliner over the Pacific Ocean south of Panama. He got it right at the lightning flash. And you can see all the features of an intense developing thunderstorm. A strong updraft, flat anvil, overshooting top. God, it's just beautiful. Seeing something like this is a reason so many of us fly.
Yes, and it's really beautiful to see looking into the thunderstorm, not trying to look out at the thunderstorm.
That's true. I've seen a lot of anvil heads from a distance, and that's where I'm happy to see them.
Absolutely. Well, that does it for us this week. Thanks so much for watching.
We hope to see you back here next Thursday for another edition of AOPA Live This Week.